In this episode of Soul Zero 2, we're going to be discussing our continued series on Do You Have a Song That Gets You Through? And we've been discussing specific songs that God gives us through His scriptures that get us through the journey in life. And welcome. This is Luke Perez from Soul Zero 2, and this is the podcast that is putting the oxygen back into the Christian life, one soul at a time. So glad to be with you today. We've been talking about the journey that God gives all of us, and whether you have a relationship with Him or not, He wants you to have that journey with Him, because often we have had our own journeys and our own journey songs that we have marched to and sung to and moved through the rhythm of life to. And those songs have not always worked out, because whatever I do in my own strength is limited in the end. Only God, my Creator, can really help me to get through this world and into eternity by His grace. So in the scriptures, we find that songs are usually not used for entertainment, even though, I'm sure there's places in the scriptures where you can find songs, a wedding feast or something, but we find that most songs that are recorded based on the purposes of God in the world, something He's doing in the world. Often they're a response to pain or trial or struggle. Often they are a warning of what is, of what not to do or what to do. And often they are there's all kinds of reasons for songs, but we talked about last time that there are songs to journey with. Soldiers had marching songs. Sailors have songs for the sea. And believers, followers of Christ, have a song, an inner rhythm that they move to life by. And God gives us these songs, but also a song to dig wells with. When I say dig wells, we mean the idea of perseverance, that we are in a dry and weary and tired land in this season of COVID. And we must learn how to dig wells of worship and praise so that God's presence would come in and help us in this season. But also there are songs to weep with that we talked about last time. And those are the Psalms of Lament. And Psalms of Lament are psalms where we can express sorrow, anger, frustration, even outrage at God. And at the same time, we land on our feet with praise and with thankfulness, because God gives us room to talk to Him and to share our grief and pain with Him. But then we talked about songs we war with. In other words, often when we get offended, hurt, betrayed by someone, we often respond in a way that maybe is not healthy. Maybe you respond in kind. Maybe you respond by getting angry back or by setting them straight or telling them off. And maybe that's your song of how you deal with it. Well, God's song is so much different. His song is a song of forgiveness, and a song that he says, let's deal with the spiritual problem behind that situation. It's not the person, even though, yes, they take responsibility, but people have issues, people have struggles. And God's song is always a song where His weapons are spiritual weapons and spiritual implements. But today, I want to give you maybe 3 more songs, and we can bring this in for a landing, this short little series we did. But the song today I want to talk to you about, one of them is a song to wait with. And waiting is the hardest thing that you will ever do as a person, because when you wait, it means that you're not necessarily able to do some of the things you want to do, even though you're still working and maybe doing your routines. But waiting means that there's a purpose in waiting. And God gives us songs for times of waiting. He gives us songs when seasons in our life are shifting. And in fact, in the Psalms 144 and 9, the psalmist says, "I will sing a new song to you, O God, and I will sing with my 10-stringed harp, and I will play to you." And this was a song for a new season that God was creating in that person's life. And have you ever noticed that in certain seasons of your life, you had certain songs that you maybe hummed to yourself? I mean, we're talking in a literal sense. Maybe you had a favorite love ballad or a classical piece or something that you sang to yourself that got you through that season. And then a new season emerged, and that old song just didn't work anymore. Well, when we talk about God's song again, we're not talking about necessarily a physical song, but an inner rhythm, an unspoken song that doesn't necessarily have music to it. But maybe the old season, you had a song in you that motivated you, a spiritual rhythm that just motivated you, that worked for that season. That season has now shifted, and God says it's time to move on. It's time to do something different in a new season, because new seasons usually require new songs. And this is what I'm saying, that there's nothing wrong with the old song. It's just that the old song doesn't work anymore. So instead of the old song, maybe your song was sad and depressing. Maybe your song was hopeless. Maybe your song was a song of anger, or of just constant darkness and macabre, maybe that, and God is saying it's time to shift into a new song and find a song of joy. So it's possible that you're in a season where maybe you need to change your tune, or maybe you're in a season where you've lost your song and you need God to give you a new song. I pray that that'll happen for you today. But here's another song, a song that we sing from exile, from the place of exile. And has there ever been a season in the history of our country or of the world where we have sensed more exile in the season of COVID? Has there ever been a season where we felt more confined, more constricted, more stuck in a place, more like we don't know what normal is anymore, because we don't know what message to believe anymore? We don't know, what newscasts is saying, what we don't even understand anymore. And an example of this is the idea that the Israelites, there was a season where they were captives to the Babylonians, and they took them captive, the whole country. They took them captive, the remnant that was left. And to mock them, some of the soldiers would say, "Sing us your songs." And they'd make them sing the songs and then laugh at them and mock them. And something that they said really struck my heart. This is in Psalms 137:1. They said, "How shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land?" They were in a foreign land and they could not sing this song, especially if they're going to be mocked, obviously. But maybe you feel like you're living in a foreign land now, that even your own home feels foreign because so much has changed, because the season has shifted and the world seems like a foreign place. And I know I have felt that way myself. And they also said this, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat and there we wept when we remembered Zion." Are you remembering an old season maybe with fondness? A season that it was the last time you felt normal, the last time you felt happy or competent or loved, or in a way, maybe you felt like you were in that season. And I'm sorry for that phone, but maybe in that season you felt like you were a person again, and you've lost that season. Well, this is the time to get that new song back again. This is the time where God wants you to find your song again. And the way Eugene Peterson puts it about this story about Babylon and the rivers of Babylon is, and he says this about the Israelites: all the music had been knocked out of them. Their lives and their voices are flat as the desert of the exile. And maybe you're in that season where you feel like the music has been knocked out of you. You're exhausted from it. You're tired from it. And you're saying, "How can I sing in this new land?" Well, I have news for you. God has a song in any season. He has a song of hope for you if you look to him. Doesn't matter how hard your prison is. I mentioned last time about Paul, that Paul the Apostle talked about these seasons, and he sang to God praises from the bowels of prison, a depressing, hopeless place, from a place of confinement. He sang. And that brings us to the last song, the Song of the Redeemed. This song is exclusive to the followers of Christ. Not everyone can sing this song, because to sing it, you have to know God. You have to have a relationship with God. And it doesn't mean you can't sing songs, but you can't sing this song, because this song is for the person who has surrendered their life to Christ. And this song speaks of forgiveness and of being accepted by the Father in heaven, no matter how evil or how awful you were, no matter how many bad things you think you did. This is that song. And historian N.T. Wright illustrated this beautifully of how adoption happened in Roman times during the time of Christ. He says a man would adopt a child, he would keep it private for a long time. But there was a day where there was a second adoption in public, and the child was brought before the constituted authorities, and the child's garments were removed, and new garments were put on, given by the father who was adopting the child. And from that day forward, those raiments spoke of the new condition of life that child was to live. And this is what I mean by being redeemed. This is the new song, that no longer do I live by my own goodness or righteousness, but I live by the righteousness that is Christ's righteousness. And this is not a song that can be sung by Jose Carreras or Luciano Pavarotti or Leontine Price or Beyonce or Keith Urban or your favorite singer. This is a song that can only be sung by the redeemed. Not even angels can sing it. In fact, George Matheson once said that there are chords too high for the angels, and he meant this song of the redeemed. American Idol couldn't pull it off, because this song is only for those who have chosen to surrender their song for the song of God. So no one can learn this song unless they belong to God. And that scripture is found in Revelations 14:13, or 14:3, by the way, if you want to look it up. So what is your song? Do you have a song? Have you lost your song? Or has maybe your song become one of hopelessness, one of anger and depression, and you're wondering, what is life dealing me? What is this thing about life that I should care about anymore? Why should I even care about life? And is your life maybe that way, where you're wondering, God, what am I doing? What am I doing in my life? What am I doing with my life? And maybe you feel like, I've lost my song. Well, there's hope for you, just as there was hope for me. Let God give you a song. Let him give you his song, because his song will last through eternity. It won't fail after, it hits the top 10. It is for eternity. It is for life and what is beyond. His song never fails. So I encourage you, stay with God and check us out. Check out our website, soul02.com. There you'll find blogs and podcasts. And we're in video on YouTube now, so please check out our channel and recommend it to friends and subscribe to it, because you're trying to build it up. And just hit a like. That'd be great. So until next time, this is Lou Perez with Soul 02. God bless you.